Today we're going to paint a barn in a sunny field, and I wanted to emphasize the sun, and I'm practicing to do sun rays better. I pulled this photo reference off of unsplash.com, and I started my picture off with just a little bit of light in the field, and then I put my two barns and my trees so I could begin to work around the sun rays and begin to lay out more of the green in the field. So that's what we're starting off with. And this is wet on wet right now. And as I lay down the green, you're going to see me take my angled brush and I'm going to clear out some of the sun rays so that way I can preserve that light. Now I went ahead and I added in some of the yellow and the greens, at least a little bit of detail down in my field below. And I'm protecting that with a piece of paper towel. You can just lay the paper towel down on your paper and then you can rest your hand while you paint. And right now I'm adding in some details into the trees. I want to see the lights and the darks in the background, and I'm not fussing very much. I am just trying to add in a little bit of this color so I can see where it is. So I put the dark I put the dark greens down first in between those two barns, and then as I moved it towards the top, those trees are going to catch the sun rays, so I put more of a yellow tone in it. And then as I'm moving forward, in the original photo, as I'm moving closer to the sun rays, the trees just to the left of it were orange. So I went ahead and I painted those in there, and then I lifted up the sun rays again. And you can see I'm continuing on with that orange type of color. That's what I saw in the photo, so I'm just trying to add that in there. It's a really bright day, so that's going to change the color of the trees from green to more of an orange. So as I'm doing that, you can remember that I'm working wet on wet, and then when I'm done painting a certain section, I am going to wind up taking my angled brush and I'm going to touch those sun rays again, and I'm going to continue to lift out the light, so I'm protecting the light of the sun. So as I've layered this picture and I've worked wet on wet, wet on wet, wet on wet, no matter what I'm doing, I'm going back with my angled brush and I'm touching up those sun rays. So I'm just continuing right now to add in a little bit of the dark. Now I'm adding in a tiny bit of the dark detail into the field. Now I am going to add more greens in this field later on. And one of the things I like to do after I lay down some of the light is to put in some of the contrast, some of the dark values, so I know where those are. So I've done that with some of the dark greens, and I'm using a little bit of a lighter green for me to add in a mid-tone. So I've got my light, I put my darks in, and I'm working on some mid-tone greens. I'm starting to work on some of the sun rays, and when I looked at the original photo, the sun rays towards the bottom were more gold. So I'm going to try to develop that a little bit more, and I'm adding in a little bit of extra light in there too. And then you're going to watch me shift down into adding more of the blades of grass inside of the field, and I'm going to do some of the dark sections first, and then I'm going to move into adding some more of my midtones. I had enough of the field developed where I could add in some more of my bright greens and like a yellowish green as well. And you can see I'm painting right smack on top of those sun rays. And remember, I said I would use my angled brush to continue to deepen those out. So I had mentioned I continue to practice my sun rays. Don't be afraid to practice, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Now after this dried, I felt it was still light, and I wanted to add in some more darkness into the foreground. I tend to do layers versus being super bold and putting colors down, and I try many different things just so I can see if I can improve myself. I didn't mind the way that I did this picture, but I added in a lot more darkness, and then I softened up those sun rays a little bit, and you can see how I'm using my angled brush. I am brushing through a line to make it darker, but then I take the brush and I'm wiping over it horizontally just so I can soften it up a little bit more. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe if this has been a help for you. See you next time, guys.